Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last lesson for the first quarter, which is about cell transport. We have two learning objectives. First is to describe the two types of transport mechanisms in cell, which are active and passive transport, and lastly is to describe the role of cell membrane in maintaining cellular function. Before we proceed with the different types of transport mechanisms in the cell, we first need to have a recap or to refresh our minds of what the cell membrane is. So, the cell membrane, if you can recall, is a phospholipid bilayer, and it is also selectively permeable, meaning it can control what comes in and out of our cell. So in other words, this cell membrane it is choosy or it is specific such that it only allows certain molecules or materials to come in and out of the cell. And it does so to maintain the internal balance or homeostasis within the cell. Because kung isipin nyo nga naman, if every material, if every molecules can come inside the cell, then that risks the defense of the cell kasi it is possible na yung mga bacteria and virus they can as easily go inside the cell and affect the cell. Ayan. So, yeah. So here is a structure of the cell membrane. So as you can see, the cell membrane is again composed of the phospholipid bilayer. And if you can notice, marami din tayong different types of proteins. We have peripheral proteins, integral proteins, channel proteins, globular proteins, glycoprotein, carbohydrate, etc. So, the cell membrane is not only composed of the phospholipids, but it is also composed of proteins and some carbohydrates as well as some cholesterol. So we will go or we will discuss these structures one by one as we go through the lesson. So let's start with the first structure, which is the lipid bilayer or the phospholipid bilayer. So the lipid bilayer is of course composed of the phospholipids. So these phospholipids are the main component in cell membranes, meaning they take up a large percentage of the cell membrane. So they are arranged in a bilayer arrangement. So if you can see here sa illustration natin here on the right, meron tayong phospholipid, yun yung mga mukhang hairpin na merong malaking ulo. Ayan. So these are the phospholipids and then they are arranged in a bilayer arrangement. So when we say bilayer, that means two layers. Kaya nga bilayer. So this is the first layer and then this is the second layer. And they act as a barrier to water-soluble molecules. Okay, so how does it do that? Well, yung phospholipids natin, they have two parts. We have the head and we also have the tail. The head is composed of different phosphate groups or it is composed of phosphate groups. On the other hand, the tail is composed of fatty acids. Yan. So let's go back muna sa head. Since the head is a polar molecule, it is hydrophilic. When we say hydrophilic, we can derive the meaning from the root. Okay. When we say hydrophilic, it means it is water loving. So hydro means water, philic means love. Okay. So that means the head is hydrophilic or water loving such that it likes water. Okay. On the other hand, since the tail is composed of fatty acids or nonpolar molecules, it is hydrophobic. So hydrophobic is just the opposite of hydrophilic. If hydrophilic means water loving, then hydrophobic means water fearing. Ayan, 'di ba? Phobic, phobia, fear. Ayan. So it hates water. It doesn't like water. in contrast to its counterpart na head. So it doesn't like water. And so ito lang din yun. So the head is soluble in water and it likes water. That's why ito yung exposed part natin sa phospholipid bilayer. That's why kung makikita nyo sa arrangement, nakaipit sa gitna yung tails. Ayan, nakaipit sila sa gitna because they don't want to be exposed to water. And since yung head nga, yung water-loving, sila yung exposed sa water. So, di ba, outside the cell, we have the extracellular fluid. Inside the cell, we have the cytoplasm. Ayan. So, these two, the extracellular fluid and the cytoplasm, they contain water. Kaya yung hydrophilic head yung exposed sa dalawang fluids na to. Ayan. So since the phospholipid has both characteristics of being hydrophilic and hydrophobic, they are called amphipathic. Okay? Phospholipids, again, are amphipathic because they both show the characteristics of being hydrophilic and hydrophobic. So here is another visualization of the phospholipid. Ayan, so this is yung molecular structure niya. We have the head, which is composed of the phosphate groups, and also the tails, which is composed of fatty acids. Okay, so on to the next structure, we have the transmembrane proteins. The transmembrane proteins, they are part of the integral membrane proteins. Okay, so if natatandaan nyo yung picture kanina natin ng cell membrane, ayan, so you can see meron tayong dalawang types of protein. So we can identify the proteins either as integral protein or peripheral protein. So what is their difference? So dun muna tayo sa integral protein. The integral protein is permanently embedded to the cell membrane. That means, nandyan lang siya, hindi siya naaalis dyan. So, an example of integral membrane proteins is the transmembrane proteins. So, the transmembrane proteins, they span the entire length of the cell membrane. So, meaning you can find transmembrane proteins everywhere. Okay, everywhere you look at the cell membrane. And they function for first transport, next is for receptor or reception, lastly is for adhesion, cell surface adhesion. Yeah. So after the transmembrane proteins, we have the interior protein network. So the interior protein network, it is composed of peripheral or intracellular membrane proteins. Okay. So, dito na natin malalaman kung ano ba yung peripheral proteins. In contrast to transmembrane proteins or integral membrane proteins, peripheral proteins are found at the periphery or like nandun lang siya madalas sa may surface part ng ating cell membrane. Ayan. So, if you can see here yung difference nila, this is the integral protein, this is the peripheral protein. And since kaya doon yung location niya or the reason why it is found sa periphery is because it is not permanently attached to the cell membrane. Temporary lang yung stay niya sa ating cell membrane. So when it already finished its job or nagawa niya na yung trabaho niya, then it will detach from the cell membrane, magbababay na siya sa cell membrane, and then another peripheral protein will come in to take its original place. Okay? Again, yung difference nila, integral membrane protein is permanently embedded or attached to the cell membrane. Or, on the other hand, the peripheral protein is temporarily attached to the cell membrane and can be found at the periphery of the cell membrane. So the function of peripheral proteins is for cell signaling and also for structural support. And last structure at the cell membrane, we have the cell surface markers. So the cell surface markers, they are composed of two types. We have the glycoproteins and glycolipids. So what is their difference? So glycoproteins, this means that the glucose are attached or bonded to proteins. So knowing that relationship, that means glycolipids, these are glucose that are attached to lipids. Okay? So yun lang yung difference nila. Kung saan sila nakabond or kung saan nakabond yung glucose natin. If the glucose is bonded to proteins, then they are called glycoproteins. If they are bonded to lipids, then they are called glycolipids. Yan. So their function or the function of cell surface markers is for identification and also for cell-to-cell communication. So here is the cell membrane structure ulit. We have the phospholipids. Yan. We have the phospholipid bilayer. And then after the phospholipid bilayer, we have the integral proteins or the transmembrane proteins. So, kita nyo, they are embedded sa ating phospholipid bilayer or sa ating cell membrane. So, aside from these integral proteins, we also have the peripheral proteins that can be found sa periphery ng ating cell membrane. And lastly, we have the cell surface markers. We have the glycoproteins and also the glycolipids. So as you can see, yung difference nila, glycoproteins, they are bonded or attached to proteins. Glycolipids, they are directly bonded to the phospholipids. Okay. So that's it. That's the structure of the cell membrane. Yan. And again, if you can recall, yung cell membrane natin, one of its function or purpose is for transport. Okay, so since the cell membrane can control what comes in and out of the cell, it has an important purpose for transport. Okay? So these transport, they are accomplished by membrane proteins, especially for molecules that are too large or merong mga charges, so they pass through the membrane proteins. So for example, kapag naman they are not charged and their size is small enough to pass through the phospholipid bilayer, then dun sila dumadaan sa phospholipid bilayer. Otherwise, they will go through the membrane proteins. So we define transport as a controlled movement of molecules from one side of a membrane to the other. So kunwari, may molecule ka sa extracellular fluid, tapos minove mo siya papunta sa cytoplasm. So that is a kind of transport. Syempre, it also applies vice versa. So if you move a molecule from the cytoplasm towards the extracellular fluid, so that can also be considered as transport. So again, the transport through the cell membrane is specific because the cell membrane nga is selectively permeable such that it only allows certain molecules or particles to come in and out of our cell. And aside from that, the transport through the cell membrane is directional or it has direction. So what is that direction? The direction of the movement of molecules through the cell membrane is from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So we call that the concentration gradient. Again, the concentration gradient is the direction of the concentration gradient is from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So this is the movement of our molecules, but with exceptions. So, hindi palaging yung movement or diffusion ng molecules natin is from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration because it could also be the opposite. Ayan, yun yung exception. So, molecules can also move from an area of low concentration to an area of high concentration. And when that happens, that kind of transportation would require energy. So that's why we have two types of cellular transport. So the two types of cellular transport, we have passive transport and active transport. In passive transport, the molecules go down their concentration gradient. On the other hand, for active transport, the molecules go against their concentration gradient. Okay, so this just means that for passive transport, the molecules will diffuse from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. On the other hand, for active transport, since it is going against its concentration gradient, then it will move from an area of low concentration to an area of high concentration. And since it is moving against its concentration gradient, active transport would require energy from the cells. Okay? Sa passive transport, no energy required because it goes down or it follows its concentration gradient, which is from high to low. So we have three types of passive transport. We have diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis. For active transport, we have three: protein pumps, endocytosis, and exocytosis. So we will go through these different kinds of passive and active transport through our lesson. So let's start with the first type of passive transport. Passive muna tayo, which is diffusion or simple diffusion. Yeah. So in diffusion, it is the random movement of particles from an area of high to low concentration. Yan. So high to low concentration, which means it goes down its concentration gradient since movement niya nga ay from high to low. So what does these random movement na phrase means? Recall na yung molecules natin, they move randomly, di ba? From your chemistry, we learned that molecules, they move randomly. And sa diffusion, even though individual molecules move randomly, as a whole, their movement has a direction. Okay? And that direction is from an area of high to low concentration. So notice nyo sa GIF natin or GIF. Yan. So we have two areas here sa ating solution. We have an area of high concentration and then an area of low concentration. And notice nyo na yung molecules natin or yung solutes natin, they would spread out in different directions. Yan. And though they spread out in different directions, yung overall na naging direction pa rin nung lahat ng ating solutes is from an area of high to low concentration. Kaya yung direction nila ay palabas. Kasi they want to move to an area of lower concentration. Okay? Again, sa diffusion, even though the movement of individual molecules is random, their movement as a whole or as a population is directional, such that they will move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So this movement will continue until all molecules are evenly spaced or they achieved equilibrium. So kapag hindi na nag-e-exist yung dalawang concentrations natin na wala na tayong na-identify na high concentration or low concentration, then that just means that we have achieved equilibrium or the molecules are now evenly spaced sa ating solution. Yan. So molecules will continue to move, but they will stay spread out. Okay. So to help you visualize simple diffusion, we have here an example. So, kapag nagtitimpla kayo ng tea, ayan, di ba merong tea bag, tapos nilulublob nyo yun sa hot water. So, sa isang side or sa side kung saan nyo nilublob yung tea bag nyo, concentrated doon yung ating tea molecules. Ayan. Concentrated yung tea molecules natin. On the other hand, wala masyadong tea molecules sa ating hot water. So, according to simple diffusion, these tea molecules will spread out sa ating hot water. Yan, it will spread out sa ating hot water until yung hot water natin ay magkaroon na ng tea molecules. So, all of magiging evenly distributed or evenly spread na yung ating tea molecules sa hot water. So, that's how diffusion works. Yan. So, ayun, simple, tandaan nyo lang palagi sa simple diffusion, we only have one rule sa simple diffusion. If there are no external forces or extra forces acting on the molecules or the solutes, they will always move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration until they achieve equilibrium. Yeah, so they will go down or they will move down their concentration gradient. I hope that's clear. Simple diffusion. The next type of passive transport is osmosis. So if sa simple diffusion, any type of molecule or particle yung nag-move, sa osmosis, it is the diffusion of water molecules only. Okay? So, specific tayo sa osmosis. Ang nag-move lang dito or nag-diffuse ay water molecules. Ayan. And since it is still a type of passive transport, the direction of movement of water molecules is still from an area of high concentration to low concentration, or it will just move down its concentration gradient. So how does osmosis work? So yan, we have here a U flask or U bottle. Yan. Kaya U bottle yung tawag sa kanya kasi it is shaped like letter U. Sa gitna ng U bottle natin, we have the selectively permeable membrane. Yan. That's the selectively permeable membrane. Okay. So again, selectively permeable membrane only allows specific molecules to pass through them. So ano ba yung basis ng ating selectively permeable membrane? Sa kung anong molecules lang yung papapasukin niya or palalabasin or padadaanin niya, basically. So yung basis niya is the size of the molecule. Okay? Ang basis niya is the size of the molecule. Yung selectively permeable membrane natin kasi meron siyang mga butas. Ayan. Yung mga butas na yan, they have specific size din. So, ibig sabihin, kapag yung molecule natin, it is too large for that hole, then they can pass through. On the other hand, if the molecule is small enough to pass through that hole, then that means they can go through that hole. So, pwede silang lumipat from one side to another. Okay? Yan. So, sa ating U flask or U bottle, we have a solution. So, kapag may solution tayo, that means meron tayong solute, meron tayong solvent. Okay? So, yung solvent natin dito, those are the water molecules. Okay, tas for example, ang solute natin dito, ayan yung mga color red, sorry. Yung ano pala dito, water molecules pala yung red niya. Okay, so for example, burahin ko lang. Yan. Tas for example, Ano ba nangyari? Sorry. Yan. So, yung solvent natin, that's the water. And then, yung solute natin, it could be anything. So, for this specific example, kunwari siya na lang ay sugar or glucose. Ayan. So, that consists our solution. We have our solvent and we also have our solute. Now, sa solution natin, the solute will bind to the solvent. Okay? Or, yan. So, kapag nangyari yan, kapag nag-bind sila sa solvent, they will be too big or too large to pass through the selectively permeable membrane. Ayan. Kaya kung makikita nyo dito sa ating picture, ayan, meron naka-attach na water molecule and then meron tayo nitong solute natin. And if you can see, comparing their size, mas malaki yung ating solute kesa sa ating hole sa selectively permeable membrane. So, it can pass through. In contrast, the size of the water molecule is small enough such that it can pass through the selectively permeable membrane. So that means for this solution, only the water molecule can move or can transport from one side to the other. Kaya siya lang yung nagmo-move. So ang tawag natin sa mga water molecules na yan ay free water molecules. Yan. So, sabi dito, sa isang side ng ating U bottle, yung nasa left side, it has a lower concentration of solute. So, that means we have more free water molecules than solutes. Okay? On the other hand, sa right side, it has a higher concentration of solute. So, opposite lang siya nung nasa left side. So that means mababa yung water concentration, then mataas yung solute concentration. So according to osmosis, the movement of water would be from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So that means it will move from left to right. Okay? Okay, clear? Kung bakit dun siya mag-move from left to right? Kasi mas mataas yung concentration natin ng water sa left kesa sa concentration natin ng water sa right. Kaya, pupunta siya from left or mag-move siya from left to right. Okay? So, once yung water natin, water molecules natin ay nakapag-flow na from left to right, this will be what our U bottle will look like. So, ito na yung equilibrium ng ating U bottle. So, there will be an equal concentrations of solute. So, baka tanongin nyo ako, ma'am, paano po naging equilibrium or naging equal yung solution natin dito sa right side kung hindi pantay yung volume ng water? So, ganito lang yan. So, sabi natin, naglipat tayo ng free water molecules sa may kabilang side. Okay? So, dahil naglipat tayo ng free water molecules sa right side, then that means bababa yung ating water molecules dito, such that magiging equal sila nung ating solute concentration or solute molecules. And dahil naglipat nga tayo ng water molecules from left side to the right side, yung dating mababang water concentration sa right side, mag-i-increase yan hanggang maging equal na rin sila nung solute molecules natin. So, magiging equal sila ng concentration. So, kapag nangyari yun, then they will be at equilibrium. Okay? Clear? Ayan. So, yung yung osmosis natin, it has different Not really types, pero meron kasi tayong tinatawag din na tonicity sa osmosis. So yung tonicity, it is the ability of the cell to gain or lose water depending on its surrounding solution. Okay? Again, tonicity is the ability of the cell to gain or lose water depending on its surrounding solution. And we have three types. So first type is hypotonic solution. So hypo means less. Yan, hypo means less. Sa hypotonic solution natin, we have low solute and high concentration of water. Okay? Yan. Again, kapag hypotonic yung solution natin, then that means yung surrounding fluid sa cell natin or yung nasa labas na fluid or solution ng cell natin, it has a low concentration of solute and high concentration of water than inside the cell. So, ibig sabihin, kung mataas yung water concentration natin outside the cell, inside the cell, it would be the opposite. Magiging mababa yung water concentration natin. And if baba yung solute concentration natin outside the cell, then again, inside the cell, it would just be the opposite. So that means inside the cell, the solute concentration would be high. Okay. So clear pa? Clear pa tayo dito? Okay. And since according to osmosis, water molecules will move or will diffuse from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, then the net flow or net movement of water would be from outside of the cell into the cell. Palitan lang natin ang kulay. And again, the movement of water would be from outside of the cell into our cell. Yan. Okay? Clear? Okay. So, pag tatandaan nyo lang dito sa hypo natin, kaya nga siya hypotonic, kasi less yung solute concentration than inside the cell. Okay? Again, kaya siya hypotonic solution because less yung solute concentration than inside the cell. So, that means kung less yung solute concentration natin outside, then yung concentration ng water natin outside, magiging mataas kasi magkabaliktad lang sila kapag hypotonic solution. So now, ayan. What do you think will happen when blood cell is exposed to distilled water? So yung distilled water natin, it is a hypotonic solution. That means it has low solute concentration and high water concentration than inside the cell. Okay. Very good. So when the blood cell or the red blood cell is exposed to distilled water, water will come inside our cell until it swells and eventually burst. Okay? Yeah. So this is called cytolysis, in which again, the cell will swell until it bursts open. Kasi nga, masyado ng maraming water or marami na siyang na-intake na water. So, this is akin to a balloon, 'di ba? Kapag pinuno mo ng water yung balloon natin. So eventually lalaki yung size ng balloon natin until hindi niya na kayang i-hold yung amount of water inside. That's why it will burst open. So it can also happen to our cells and that is called cytolysis. Okay? So next type of tonicity, we have hypertonic solution. Hypertonic is just the opposite of hypotonic, sorry. So if hypo means less, that means hyper means, okay, very good. Hyper means more. Okay. So that means there is more or a higher concentration of solute outside our cell than the water concentration outside the cell. Okay? Again, since this is a hypertonic solution, there is a higher solute concentration than the water concentration outside our cell or sa surrounding solution ng ating cell. And since ito nga yung condition natin outside, it would just be the opposite inside. So inside, the solute concentration would be low and then the water concentration would be high. Okay? Yan. So since ganito yung condition natin, then that means ano yung magiging movement ng ating molecules? Okay, very good. The movement of water molecules would be from the inside of the cell to the outside of the cell. So, palabas lang yung ating water molecules. Okay? Now, what do you think will happen to a blood cell when it is exposed to salt water? Okay, very good. So, our cell or our blood cell will shrink. Okay? It will shrink kasi nga nawawala na siya ng water sa loob. So, this is called plasmolysis, in which the cell will shrink or shrivel as water moves from the cell to the surrounding solution. Yan. And last type of tonicity, we have we have isotonic solution. So if hypo means less, hyper means more, then iso means the same or equal. Ayan, di ba? Sa math natin, we have what we call the isosceles triangle. So these triangles are defined as congruent or they have the same size, same shape, etc. Okay. So going back, isotonic solution is a type of solution in which it has an equal concentration of solutes inside the cell. So kapag sinabi nating equal, then that means equal yung concentration ng solute sa labas, sa loob. Ayan. So that that is also the same for water. Equal lang yung concentration ng water sa labas at sa loob. So when the type of solution is isotonic, then there would be no net flow of water. Okay. Take note of the word net. Okay? Net means kabuuan or yung sum. Okay? So, no net flow of water molecules means that there is still a flow or movement of water molecules, but those movement or those flow cancel out each other kaya nagiging zero. Okay, so parang medyo magulo. Ganito lang yan. Yung amount of water na pumapasok inside the cell is also the same amount of water that goes out of the cell. Kaya there would be no net flow kasi you don't have, wala kang gain, wala kang loss. Kasi nga, equal lang yung pumapasok at lumalabas na concentration ng water sa ating cell. That's why you will have no net flow of water molecules. Okay. So when that happens, what do you think will happen to the blood cell kapag it is exposed to saline water? So it is a type of isotonic solution. Okay, very good. So nothing will happen to our blood cell. It will just function normally or it will be in equilibrium. Okay? Yan. Sorry, hindi siya nag-next. Okay, so our cell will just function normally or it will be in equilibrium kapag it is exposed to an isotonic solution. Yan. Kaya nga kapag dehydrated tayo, sinasalpakan tayo ng mga IV drips, ayan, para mag-increase yung ating water intake and ma-hydrate na tayo. So, in relation to what we have learned in osmosis, why do you think we need to drink enough water? So, bakit ba lagi tayong pinapaalalahanan ni Mimi na drink your water? B. Okay. Yan, very good. So, we need to drink enough water to avoid, of course, to avoid dehydration nga, and to maintain an isotonic solution or isotonic condition within our body para our cell can function normally. So, that is also the reason why it is not advised for you to drink seawater kung na-stranded ka man sa dagat, di ba? Because seawater contains lots and lots of salt or it has a high solute concentration. So, kapag in-intake natin yun sa body natin, yung seawater, uminom tayo ng seawater, then that would make the solution sa ating body na maging hypertonic. So, that means mas lalo lang tayong madedehydrate kahit uminom tayo ng water. Kasi nga higher yung solute concentration. So, that means yung water will move out of our cell and it can cause dehydration and eventually death kapag nagkulang na tayo sa water. Yan. So, other applications of osmosis sa bacteria and plant cells, they don't overexpand or hindi sila nag-undergo ng cytolysis kasi they have the cell walls to prevent that from happening. Ayan. So, yung cell wall natin, they resist the osmotic pressure or they resist intaking or they resist the extra uptake of water inside the cell. Kaya, hindi nag-overexpand yung ating plant cells and bacteria in contrast to animal cells na walang cell wall. So, sa plant cells natin, yung normal condition nila is kapag hypotonic yung surrounding solution or hypotonic yung condition. So, yun yung prefer ng ating mga plant cells kasi they love water nga, di ba? Ayan. Kapag hypotonic, they are called turgid, yung ating mga plant cells. And then kapag hypertonic, syempre ayaw din ng plant cells natin ng hypertonic na solution because they will lose water. Okay? They will lose water kapag hypertonic yung solution and there is a chance that they will shrink or shrivel and then eventually die. Kaya nalalanta yung ating mga halaman. So, isotonic, they are just flaccid. So, could be considered normal pero hindi talaga para siyang 50-50 from being normal and then from death. Ganun. 50-50 na siya kapag isotonic. So, the healthy condition for plant cells or for plants is having a hypotonic solution or hypotonic condition. So, in our body naman, we also have kidneys. So, kidneys are a very important organ. They filter out our blood to keep it isotonic. So, they do that by removing excess salt sa ating blood para isotonic lang yung environment or yung condition inside our body. Yan. So, last type of passive transport, we have facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion is just like simple diffusion, but the main difference is that in facilitated diffusion, the transport or the diffusion of particles is through transport proteins. So, we will be involving the presence of transport proteins or the presence of proteins. Kung sa simple diffusion, yung mga molecules natin, they will just move through the phospholipid bilayer. For facilitated diffusion, it would need the help or assistance of transport proteins. Okay? So, ang mga dumadaan sa transport proteins natin, they are large or charged molecules. So, kapag masyado na silang malaki para sa phospholipid bilayer natin or their charge is not aligned dun sa charge ng ating phospholipid bilayer, then they must pass through the transport proteins. And the transport proteins is also specific or choosy, such that they only allow certain molecules to pass through them. Okay? So again, transport proteins are transport proteins are also specific or choosy. So yung transport proteins natin, we have two types. The first type of transport proteins are channel proteins. And then the next type of transport proteins are carrier proteins. Channel proteins natin, ganyan yung itsura. Yan. Tapos ito yung carrier protein. Yan. Again, channel protein, carrier proteins. Ayan. So, sa channel proteins, these proteins act as a corridor for molecules to pass through. So, kaya channel yung tawag sa kanila kasi para lang silang they act as a channel or a corridor kung saan nagpa-pass through yung ating mga molecules. So, they are almost always open. Okay? So, channel proteins, they are almost always open. On the other hand, carrier proteins, they change. They change their shape. Okay? So, kung makikita nyo dito sa ating illustration. So, yung unang shape ng ating carrier protein ay pag ganyan. So, para siyang Y, di ba? Tapos, kapag may nakabind ng molecule sa ating carrier protein, yan, sa receptor site ng carrier protein, yan, yung circle dito, that's called the receptor site. So, that is where molecules bind or attach to. Okay, so again, kapag may nakabind na or naka-attach ng molecules sa ating receptor site ng carrier protein, it will trigger or stimulate the change of shape ng carrier protein. So, mag-change na siya ng shape. Yan. Until yung shape niya ay maging parang baliktad na Y na siya. So, you see, different yung kanilang shape. Ayan. Yung channel protein natin, they could also have gates. Ayan. Channel proteins can also have gates. Ayan. Yung gate. So, these gates, they are mostly found in what we call the ion channels. Kasi there are also different types of channel proteins and carrier proteins. So, ion channels, they are usually gated channels or meron silang gate that open or close in response to stimulus. Okay? So, these gated channels, they open and close in response to stimulus. So, there are two types of stimulus. We have electrical stimulus and chemical stimulus. Chemical stimuli. So, sa electrical stimulus, nag-open or close yung gate natin kapag nakaka-receive siya ng signal. On the other hand, for chemical stimulus or chemical stimuli, may specific molecule, chemical molecule that will bind to the ion channel for it to open or close its gates. Okay? Ayan. Ayan. So, ito nga, as I've mentioned before, ang mga dumadaan sa ating transport proteins are either large molecules or charged molecules. So the hydrophobic tails of phospholipids will repel hydrophilic substances. Again, ayaw na hydrophobic tails sa water. So that means kapag yung substance natin or molecule natin na dadaan ay hydrophilic, then it will repel those substances. Therefore, ions such as chlorine ions and sodium ions or polar substances that must pass through the cell membrane will pass through the protein channel to cross the cell membrane. Ayan. So, dun sila sa channel protein dadaan para hindi sila i-repel ng ating hydrophobic tail. So, that's it for passive transport, different types of passive transport. Again, we have three. We have simple diffusion, we have osmosis, and we have facilitated diffusion. In simple diffusion, the molecules will move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So their individual movement will be random, but as a whole or as a population, their movement will have a direction such that they will move down their concentration gradient. And then for osmosis, this is the diffusion of water molecules. And the movement again will be from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. And lastly, we have facilitated diffusion, which diffuses large molecules and charged molecules. So they must pass through the transport proteins for them to not get repelled by the hydrophobic tail. So facilitated diffusion has the same mechanism as simple diffusion, but it requires the assistance or help of transport proteins. That's why it's called facilitated. Okay. So again, for passive transport, it doesn't require energy and molecules will move down their concentration gradient or will move from high to low concentration. Okay. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me.